Coming up on Nebraska Stories, using social media to save a life, inventing a new circus tradition, the man who won the war for us, a rising star in Hollywood, and escaping through music. After years of fighting to stay alive, a broken bow man makes a last-ditch plea on Facebook for help.
This is how we do dialysis.
Meet Tony Snyder.
This catheter is a straight shot to my heart.
For 5 hours a day, he plugs into a machine that filters his blood.
Come back through and it's going to come back into me.
6 days a week,
Right now it's starting to shut down. It's starting to come out this other end.
he relies on a machine to do what his body can no longer do.
After it's been through.
I have polycystic kidney disease, which is your kidneys have cysts all over them. Gradually over time, as more cysts grow and they get bigger, it ends up shutting your kidneys down. My dad had polycystic kidney disease and had a transplant in his late 40s, early 50s. It goes back to his mother having a stroke, which they assume was tied into polycystic kidney disease. If you go back to like the family cemetery back in Ocano, you'll notice that a lot of the Snyder family died at a young age. And so then that makes you wonder, is it because of the kidney disease? My older sister and older brother have both been diagnosed with it. My two younger sisters have gone through the blood work for donation, and they weren't diagnosed with it, but they have a lower kidney function than a normal person. Nothing to be afraid of, but not enough kidney function to give one up.
Most of the patients we see actually are in their 40s, 50s, or 60s when they start to get the diagnosis. And the kidney becomes very cystic. It can become very large, as big as footballs, with these large cysts, which can get infected or they can bleed. But as the cysts grow, the kidney itself becomes smaller and smaller, and the renal function of the kidney deteriorates until ultimately they need dialysis.
Tony's father was able to find a living kidney donor in his sister. Since Tony does not have the same option, he is required to remain on dialysis until a match comes through on the National Donor Registry. 5 hours a day.
Okay, so now we're going to rinse his blood back.
6 days a week.
Why me? Why am I getting stuck with all of this? Other people are just running around, they complain about a headache. And I'm just like, you have nothing to complain about. I would love to have a headache. One day I was just like, it's been 2.5 years. I am so sick and tired of doing this every day. I want my life back. And so just thought I'd throw it out there and put a post on Facebook. Hey, anybody's interested in giving, a kidney away and would happen to have type A blood, I could sure use one. I got lots of responses like, sorry to hear about that, wish I could help. I would, but I'm type B blood.
Remarkably, in addition to the well wishes and offers of support, Tony had found some possible donors.
I was scrolling through Facebook, just an ordinary day, and he said, I need a kidney. Anybody interested?
Out of those, 5 or 6, there was one.
When my fiance got home, I would talk to him, said, what do you think? Is this something you would, be willing to help me with? And absolutely.
Then she went on and took the next step.
I didn't tell my children or my parents until I found out that I was a match.
This is a person I worked with a couple days a week, maybe, that, we talked, we knew each other's names, but other than that, we didn't, like I said, we didn't have each other's phone numbers, friends on Facebook.
In the middle of the Nebraska Sandhills, Tony Snyder tossed his fate onto a social media site, and a woman he barely knew answered.
Her name is Sunshine, which, how fitting is that,
That's for most people's first reaction. What's your real name? It's unique, it is, but I guess it fits and I like it.
She's the sunshine of my life, right there. Her parents had to have known when they named her that she was what she was bound and destined for.
It would seem that Sunshine's gift of selflessness knows no end.
I have 4 kids, personally, between me and my fiance. However, we have 9. We have 3 boys and 6 girls, ranging from kindergarten up until we have 3 8th graders.
It took a while to sink in, and just to lay there and lay there in my bed one night, and I just started thinking, and it's like, wow, this is somebody who is putting their life on the line for me. What do you say? There's nothing that I could come up with other than thank you.
Almost 9 months after putting his plea out on Facebook, transplant day finally arrived.
Okay, last name?
Snyder?
At first I was a little nervous because it's all kind of hit home that this is really happening.
I worried for her. I've been through lots of surgeries, so it's no big deal to me. I just wanted to make sure that she was okay doing this.
Tony's so laid back that kind of just blows off on you too. You're like, oh, if he can act cool, I can act cool. I don't know how cool I was on the inside, but I was sure trying on the outside.
Prior to surgery, Tony had one last opportunity to say thank you to the woman who was saving his life.
That was pretty emotional. It was just kind of just to see him laying there, and just the anticipation for the surgery to be finally here.
Yeah? Want to take good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Very welcome. Appreciate it.
It's quite emotional just seeing him and having everything kind of hit home.
Months after the transplant, Tony was able to be there for Sunshine on her big day.
The really cool part about that is Tony is marrying us.
I didn't believe that you could become an ordained minister off the internet. And so one day, I was playing around on the internet, which seems to work for me, I found a website and filled it out, sent in the money, and bam, I'm an ordained minister.
I couldn't think of anybody better to stand up there and do that for us.
How could I say no? You give me a kidney, I perform a marriage ceremony. Not even close, but let's do it. Sunshine pretty much saved my life. He gave me my life back by giving me a kidney. And this is just a small way that I could repay her. I am proud to say this is the new Mr. and Mrs. Solis.
A new aerial acrobatics troupe is redefining the modern circus with dramatic airborne maneuvers and eclectic talents that both thrill and entertain.
Even for Halloween, it was spectacle enough to stop traffic. Circus performers, giddy and confident, paraded into the Bourbon Theater. This is Freakworks. What they are about to do is physically demanding, even dangerous. How's this for pressure? It's Freakworks' nerve-wracking debut. Never before has this group performed together in public.
Well, come on over, let's watch.
Rewind a few months. Hairstylist Sierra Searite works in a funky salon right across the street from the theater.
I've always been kind of a monkey.
So she started playing around with aerial acrobatics on her own.
It's another way, it's an art form to get out there and show your soul another way other than just the normal traditional ways of dancing. And it's death-defying at some point. I just didn't know anyone else in town that also enjoyed doing aerials. It's not something common.
I'm Surreal Desaad. I specialize in aerial silks, trapeze.
Surreal, her stage name, returned to her home state for a college degree. Living in Portland, Oregon, she earned a reputation for impressive aerial performance with a local circus group.
It's like a dance. It's a dance in the air. We're taking the music and letting that express itself through our bodies.
Over a few weeks, a small group of aerialists came together. They'd done just for fun performances at parks and music festivals, but now
I was hoping to find more people in Lincoln that would want to get together and maybe create a circus.
it turns out Nebraska harbored more unusually talented freaks than anyone realized.
So this is the first time we've had fire.
There was Jack, the fire-breathing acrobat.
Fire!
Not all the acts risk life and limb. Someone recruited hula hooper Sarah at a music festival. Turns out she had circus dreams.
I've always been kind of a weird person, so yeah, I've always entertained that idea. A lot of freedom in it.
When a juggling unicyclist seemed to show up out of nowhere, it seemed like a routine day in Sierra's backyard carnival.
They told me that, oh, we are a circus, and they invited me to be part of it. And I was like, yes, I would love to. That sounds great.
There's a sense that something shared brought this group together. Singular personalities with unique talents others didn't always appreciate.
It's amazing to see how some people, when they first started, how shy they were, just how much they've put in since then. It's really fascinating.
In this kind of business, you kind of have to trust the people around you because you are trusting them with your life at times. Like, you got my back, right?
By late summer, the Downtown Theater and Bar agreed to turn over the venue for a Halloween show based on Sierra's enthusiastic belief.
It's kind of like, let's do this.
In just a matter of weeks, the cast had written and choreographed 20 separate performances.
I don't think that it has to be the traditional Barnum and Bailey show. I think circus can be whatever you want it to be.
I think that's good.
Acts combined playfulness and beauty with an undercurrent of danger.
Well, I always try to tell a story. I tend to try to be shocking, somewhat unforgettable.
A long, tense, ragged dress rehearsal turned out to be the one and only opportunity to practice on the Bourbon Theater stage.
You guys will start after they start.
The dress rehearsals are always kind of frantic, so we had to figure out the logistics of where we were going to set everything up and where we were going to be with our dances and everything. It is scary.
It was time for the outsiders to go public.
I feel like this is the first of many days like this.
You don't know what's gonna happen. You know, that's the life of performing.
For the hour that followed, freaks ruled.
That really gave me a lot of confidence after that show. It just gave me a lot of confidence in myself and my performing career.
I thought at one point that I had to give up on the circus dream, and I realized I don't have to let go. I can find Freakworks, you know?
On the 71st anniversary of D-Day, organizers unveiled a new World War II memorial on the beaches of Normandy, France, honoring Columbus native Andrew Jackson Higgins. Here's a look back at the man now heralded as a genius of naval architecture.
In a Columbus park, a bigger-than-life statue of native son Andrew Jackson Higgins looks over his creation, the Higgins boat he invented and built for the military to move troops from ships and land them quickly on shore. Think the invasion of Normandy, France during World War II, for example.
He hadn't designed and built those LCVPs, those Higgins boats, we couldn't have gone over an open beach. The whole strategy of the war would have been different.
Eisenhower said it's the thing that won the war was the Higgins boat.
The man who created the boats and massive plants in New Orleans to build more than 20,000 during World War II was an unlikely hero, a youth from Columbus, then Omaha, who was part entrepreneur, part problem child. He never graduated from high school. Higgins moved to Louisiana and started a lumber business. For this, he needed shallow water boats to get wood from swamps, thus the genesis of the Higgins boat.
He doesn't have an engineering background, but yet he can see things. He would wake up in the middle of the night, sketch something, and then in the morning he would give his architects or engineers a plan and say, make this happen. To make that many boats in really 4 years of the war, you know, that's astronomical what they did. It was all about efficiency of operation. And Mr. Higgins was on a grand scale, and he wasn't about making money, it was about investing it back into the people, you know, because if you look at Higgins' workforce, you have men, women, blacks, whites, paid by their skill level. You know, if you have a skill level 5 welder, that's a woman, gets paid higher than a skill level 3 male welder. Almost scandalous in the 40s, what he did. But he took care of his people.
Now, Higgins and his boats will be honored at one of the places where they made a difference, Normandy's Utah Beach. Packing this display for shipment to France and dedication on the anniversary of D-Day wasn't easy. Neither was raising money for this or making the replica boat and statues similar to what's already in Columbus. But the folks behind this say it's worth the effort.
I think it's both the opportunity to honor a native son and in Andrew Jackson Higgins, but it's also even more important to be able to honor the veterans from World War II.
His whole story is just one big story of, you know, doing what he loved for his country. And I think that's what makes him really kind of a bigger-than-life character to me.
A young Omaha native shares her path from aspiring actress to star of one of the biggest animated films in years, playing young Elsa in Disney's Frozen.
Many children grow up going to the movies. Some even imagine being in them. For a select few, that dream actually happens.
She's always been interested in, you know, kind of dressing up, princess play, that kind of stuff when she was little. By the time she was like 5-ish, you know, she would watch a lot of television, watch a lot of movies and stuff, and when she turned 6, she was like, Mom, I want to do that.
Eva Bella is a child actress originally from Omaha. Of the 5 films nominated for Best Animated Feature at the 2014 Academy Awards, Eva lent her voice to 3 of them, including Disney's Frozen. I had the chance to talk with Eva while she was back in Nebraska.
Frozen has meant everything to me, basically. It's an amazing movie. I think the movie's really touched everybody. It's just so amazing to me. none of us knew that it would be like this big. We thought, oh, it's just gonna be, you know, a Disney movie, and it's responded so amazingly to other people that that's the best part about it.
You okay, Anna? I got you.
Elsa, what have you done? With her main claim to fame, the role of young Elsa in Frozen, Eva is continuing to grow as an actress.
It's really fun, like, when you get a script, you get to be the person, and because normally when you're yourself and you have your own personality, but you get to, like, feel someone else's personality and feelings through a script, which is what I think is the coolest part. The thing with voiceover is that, first off, animation's really cool, and you always get to see it before other people, which is awesome. And it's just fun feeling the character just through your voice without showing any, like, face emotions or anything else. You just get to use your voice.
And the funny thing is, Eva goes into my closet, our bedroom closet. She takes my phone with her. She records the lines, and then we just forward that on to her agent. So she's actually booked a lot of jobs from recording herself in our bedroom closet, which is kind of funny.
It hasn't been all smooth sailing in attempting to start a young acting career. That first year, Eva's father and brother stayed behind. Keeping that family connection from a distance was a struggle.
It was really difficult, particularly, Tim didn't have a lot of support. My sister Jessica was living in Pittsburgh at the time, and she would literally drive in, spend the week with Max, and then drive another 5 to 6 hours to help Tim during the week with Max. I mean, Max turned 10, and I was in LA, and he was in Indiana at the time. And we're Skyping, and having Skype sessions with your 10-year-old on his birthday, that's heartbreaking. So it was definitely a lot of sacrifice.
With the family reunited, the sacrifices have paid off, and Eva is ambitious about her future.
I want to be a director, and I want to be an entertainment lawyer.
What about producing? What about giving an interview? Is that something that you maybe want to try?
Yeah.
Get up and switch me seats.
Awesome.
All right, you can ask me whatever you want.
Okay. Do you like your job?
I love my job.
What's your favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of my job is being able to create a story and being able to interview people like you and being able to build it from the initial idea to the final product. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I think that's what you'll like about being a director. It was a great interview. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for coming.
All right, good.
You get so many no's in Hollywood, and you get one yes, and it changes your attitude about everything. As a parent, knowing that the sacrifices you made have really helped your child fulfill their dreams and really have some amazing experiences as a 10-year-old child, those are gifts that she'll never forget that kind of stuff.
Finally, an Omaha group uses music to lift spirits, spark old memories, and reconnect people to a place and time. They're called Merrymakers.
Get your finger snappers going. We're here at Brookstone Village in Omaha, Nebraska. It's music for the elderly, and music always takes you to a place. Music takes you to a place, and we want to take the people in their homes back to trigger memories of great times and great music.
Now here in Nebraska, we've had a tough time with our spring and our summer, haven't we? It's hot today.
It almost just lets them escape from possibly where they are right now. Vacation for just an hour of relaxation and music.
Oh, it does bring back memories, that's for sure, of where I've been when I heard the song and what I was doing at the time.
Gonna take a sentimental journey. Gonna set my heart at ease. Gonna take
I think it's always good for any age to be able to remember a time a happy time, maybe even a sad time. I've had many drawn to tears hearing Sentimental Journey, but it takes them to a time that they can just remember a special moment in their life.
It's wonderful entertainment for me.
He drove a herd of cattle down from old Nebraska way.
I tell them this is a knee-slapping song. I wanna get them involved. It keeps them active. I mean, I've even said this is a song that you can exercise to if you want, you know. It's important that they keep moving. I don't want them to just come and sit and stare at me for an hour.
Swap my horse and dog for you, oh Sioux, City Sioux, Sioux, City Sioux. Ain't no girl as true as this
music can strike your heart hard or strike some emotions really hard. It can definitely be emotional, but at the same time, I think it can be healing. I have seen residents come into our shows that have had a gloomy day or that haven't spoken a word or haven't showed emotions for weeks, and they come in there and all of a sudden they're a whole new person and they're just beaming and they're glowing and they're smiling. And to see the joy that the events that we do with them and the sparkle in their eyes and the bonding time that we get with them is priceless.
It makes me feel like I've received a gift.
Some people aren't familiar with this one, but it's the one I picked for my grandkids. When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be?
To be a part of the Merrymakers Association is something to be very proud of, and I look up to each and every one of them. I am so proud to be from Nebraska and proud that Nebraska started this organization, and to have all these volunteers that are willing to take their time and talent and perform all over Nebraska, serving 40,000 different residents each year in 125 different facilities is really quite remarkable.
I think sometimes when they leave, they remember that it's not hard to enjoy life and that it is something as simple as a song that can make you happy.
Watch our stories online at netnebraska.org/Nebraska Stories and go to Facebook to like us and leave a comment. Join the Nebraska Stories conversation. Nebraska Stories is funded by the Margaret and Martha Thomas Foundation and the Nebraska Office of Highway Safety. Sustained funding for arts coverage on Nebraska Stories is provided by the H. Lee and Carol Gendler Charitable Fund and the Nebraska Arts Council and Nebraska Cultural Endowment.